In this lesson, we're going to look at volume of cylinders and cones, our essential question, how our formula is helpful in math and science, our I can statement, I can find the volume of any cylinder and cone. So let's talk about volume. The volume measures the space occupied by a solid, and we're going to be looking at three-dimensional figures today. The first 3D figure we're going to look at is a cylinder. It is a three-dimensional figure with two parallel congruent circular bases connected by a curved surface. So think about your can of vegetables that your mom opens up for dinner, or a lot of kids like to think of the Pringles can. So you have your two parallel congruent circular bases connected with a curved surface. To find the volume of a cylinder, you're going to find the area of the base, and that's what that uppercase B stands for. Then you're going to multiply that by the height. So sometimes you'll see the formula as capital B times the H, where the base, the area of the base is a circle. So we'll have to recall area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So the more common formula that you're going to see and use will be this one. To find the volume of a cylinder, you're going to find the area of the base. Your base is a circle, so pi r squared. And then you're going to multiply that by how high that figure goes, or the height of it. So area of the circle times the height. So let's look at a quick example. We've got a cylinder here. We're going to find the volume of it. What's given to you in this cylinder is the diameter, which is 10, and the height of that cylinder, which is 5. So we have a diameter and a height measurement. Now, if we look at the formula for cylinder, we have to find the area of this bottom circle here. Well, they're giving us the diameter, we need the radius. So sometimes you're not going to be given that radius directly. You're going to have to do a simple step to find out what that radius will be. So in this example, if the diameter is 10, the radius is going to be 5. This is the measurement we're going to use for our formula. So we're going to do pi r squared times the height. So that's going to be pi times 5 squared times the height, which is 5. Again, you can use the pi button or 3.14. So pi times 5 squared times 5 gives us a volume of approximately 392.7, and then this is going to be inches cubed because we used 3 dimensions. We squared the radius and then we had a height. So make sure in volume your labels are that unit cubed. Okay, we're going to look at a cone. A cone is a three-dimensional figure with one circular base connected by a curved surface to a single vertex. So a cone can look like this. You have your one circle. So you think of your ice cream cone. Or you can see some that are sitting on the base and kind of look like that. But those are some very poor drawings of a cone. So to find the volume of a cone, we're going to take the what we learned with the volume of a cylinder, but we're going to multiply that by 1/3. The cone is a third of a cylinder with that same size circular base. So if we had a cylinder with this same circular base and height, that cone would only be a third of what's inside. So to find the volume of a cone, we're going to be doing 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Again, our base is a circle, so we're still going to stick with that pi r squared for area of the base. So the more common formula that you will use and see is 1/3 times pi times r squared times the height. So all of this is just straight multiplied. Let's do an example. Let's find the volume of this cone here to the left. So in this cone, we know the radius is 2.8 meters and the height of it is 9.2 meters. Now remember with this one, because it is a cone, we don't want to measure this lateral height, this outside. The height has to be perpendicular to the base. So we are going to use this 9.2 as our height. So I've already plugged in my numbers. Now, one thing I do want to show you, if you're multiplying by 1/3, for those of you that are very scared of fractions, another way to do the math here, if you're multiplying by 1/3, it's the same thing as dividing by 3. So if you would prefer to look at this formula where you do the pi r squared h, then your last step would be to divide by the 3. So a lot of students prefer that method because they're not comfortable multiplying by a fraction, because changing this to a decimal would be a repeating decimal. So your answer might not be as close to an exact answer. So what I'm going to show you is how to do the pi r squared h and then multiply it by 3. So I've already got my numbers plugged in. I'm going to do pi times 2.8 squared, and then we're going to multiply that by the height, which is 9.2, and then we'll divide it by 3. So at the top here, when we look at the pi r squared h, we should get 226.6. But we have to remember we only want 1/3 of that. So we're going to divide that by 3, and then of course round to the tenths place. That gives us 75.5. Now remember, these are all approximate because we're using pi and we're rounding our numbers. So the volume for this cone is going to be approximately 75.5 meters cubed. Okay, so make sure in your notes you're writing down your questions in the left column, and we can address those in class when we do a few examples.